Howdy and welcome back to my kitchen. I'm Catherine, the Aerogarden homesteader. Today I'm making cheese potatoes, and the reason for that is my soup expired. We did a pantry clean out recently. It was probably about 2 weeks ago. We found a whole bunch of stuff that, dented cans that we didn't notice when we bought them. Cans that had started expiring. I mean, it expired October. It's fine. But what we decided to do was make some cheese potatoes. So that's what we're going to do. Cheese potatoes. This is not au gratin or scalloped or anything. This is just, it's a family recipe. I have never had this before because it wasn't, it's my husband's family. And I have just learned how to make it. So that's what we're doing today. We're doing cheese potatoes. It's pretty easy. It doesn't require a cheese sauce or anything, but it is very cheesy. Hence the name. So, I have some well-washed potatoes here. I'm actually going to save, so if the ends are in good shape, this one looks like it's in good shape. This one looks like it might be a little mediocre. It's got some spots on it. I'll trim them up, but I like to save my ends and do like hash browns with them. I'll just fry them up. But other than that, use what you like. I mean, if you want to peel your potatoes, go ahead. I just wash them. Kind of slightly easier. You get some of the benefits of the skin. You're never going to notice the skin's in there. Trust me. I didn't know the skin was in there for a long time, and I had been eating these potatoes at my mother-in-law's for quite a while before I figured it out. And I think I only figured it out because she taught me how to make it. So, you want to cut your potatoes thin, as thin as you can. So, this can kind of give you an idea of how thin they are. Whoops, let me see. Try to get it in the camera. So like that, doesn't matter if they're not uniform, we'll just deal with it. If there are bruises and things, it's probably best to go through and try to get those off before you trim it. But sometimes, you know what, sometimes you just don't know they're there until after you've cut. So I'll just go through and sometimes give the slices a quick check, make sure there's nothing unpalatable on the slices. Okay, so something I forgot to do right off the bat, always spray your pan. The best part is the crispy bottom. And believe me, that crispy bottom likes to stick. So, first layer will be the potatoes. And then we're going to layer slices of cheese on top. It's really that easy. So, just layer them up until we got a full, complete layer. I like to do a little bit of overlapping, but you don't want to do too much overlapping. You want a good cheese to potato ratio. I'm going to get some more potatoes cut up, and then I will show you the cheese part. Okay, so I took 2 of my long, wonky potatoes to fill the bottom. So onto the cheese. This is a 2-pound block of sharp cheddar. Don't use anything but sharp cheddar. It kind of tastes a little funny, like a little off if you don't use the sharp. Extra sharp will work, but don't use less than sharp. So I'm just going to cut, it's about the same thickness as the potato, and I'm literally just going to line it up the best I can. I want mostly full coverage. It's okay if there's a couple little gaps. You get some, if you get some thinner ones, that's okay as well. I save those off to the side in case I need to fill in spots in the middle. Oops. Okay, my dish is in the way. Now if you have like a mandolin slicer or something you can do the potatoes or cheese with, that's fine, but I don't know if you can shred it. We have used shredded cheese in the past. Don't do that. It's got that anti-caking agent in it. It kind of tasted funny, honestly. It just didn't come out tasting right. But if you were to shred this yourself, it might work. Problem is it would have like a different texture. So I highly recommend just making it once the first time if you're interested in it, and then seeing how it is and going from there. Because then you can play around with, okay, now I know how it's supposed to feel and taste. Then you can kind of make your tweaks. Honestly, if this wasn't a family recipe that, like an heirloom recipe that you don't mess with, I would probably put some pepper in it, but it doesn't actually call for pepper. Okay, so see, some of these I will just put down the center just to kind of fill in some of the gaps. So there you go. Layer 1. We're going to do 3 layers total, I believe. Maybe 4. Kind of depends. So I will just get chopping. I guess if you think about it, it's kind of like a potato and cheese lasagna. Okay, so you want to end on a cheese layer, and then you want to get your cream of pretty much whatever cream of soup you want. I've only ever had it with the chicken, but I think my mother-in-law said they used to use cream of mushroom. So I guess it's whatever you like. And milk. Use whatever kind of milk you got, because we've done this with 1% in the past, because that's normally what we have on hand. 2% just happened to have a better expiration date this week, so that's what we got. And I'm pretty sure my mother-in-law uses 3%, so. And just rinsing the can with a little bit of milk, because waste not, want not. There we go. And then I'm going to get this sorta creamed up a little bit with this milk. Doesn't have to be perfect. In fact, my mother-in-law normally scoops it out of the can and just spreads it on top in a thick layer. But I feel like this gets the flavor down a little bit further, so. Get this where you can see what I'm doing. Just going to pour it on top in a kind of even layer. Best to not overfill your pan with the cheese and potato, but take into account that it will cook down a little bit. There's lots of holes, air voids, gaps, whatever you want to call them. So there you go, that's that. Now, this is the tricky part. What I'm going to do is I'm going to try to lower you down and show you, because I want you to see the level. It's not how much milk you put in, it's the level of the milk. So I'm going to futz with this for a minute. Okay, so hopefully you can see that. Hopefully I don't spill milk everywhere. I'll probably fill from this side. So you want the milk to go about halfway up your pan. So I don't know if you can see. The milk has not really reached that part yet. I'm just going to keep adding milk until I start seeing it come up. Now this is the important part. If you add too much milk, it'll be too soupy. If you don't add enough, it'll be dry. So you kind of have to get that just the right balance. So you want it to go about halfway up your pan. There you go. See, it's about halfway up there. That's the right amount. It took me a long time to figure out two things: how much milk to add and how to get the crispy layer on the bottom. So this is going to go into a 325-degree oven for about 4.5 hours-ish. The first 2.5 to 3 hours will be covered in foil. Please spray your foil or your cheese will stick. It'll just be an utter mess. You will also want to put this on a cookie sheet. So this is a little early for me. It was really cold outside. I was going to go start seeds, but yeah, it was too cold, so I thought I'd get this going. So this can sit at this point for, you know, the 2 hours before I need to put it in the oven. But you know, you can make it ahead of time. Make it the morning of and then throw it in around lunchtime. It'll be cooked at dinner time. Put it on a pan. This does tend to boil over a little, make the greasy mess. So you have to put it on the bottom shelf of your oven. That's how you get the crispy bottom. So the two tricks are: only fill it halfway with milk and put it on the bottom shelf near the element so that you get the crispy bottom. Okay, well, I'll show you what it looks like when it's going in the oven, all wrapped up and on a cookie sheet and ready to go. And then obviously I'll show you what it looks like when it comes out, but it's not going in right now, so I'll show you that when it happens. These are the potato ends. They are all trimmed up, ready to go. I put them in water. I don't know if you can actually see that. Water, so that they won't go brown. I will just cook these up later in the day, probably for lunch, and it'll make a nice little side to go with something. And then, that's what it looks like, all wrapped up on a pan, ready to go in the oven. Like I said, this will be about 325 for about 4 to 4.5 hours, depending. So, and lower rack. The foil will stay on for about 2.5 hours, and then you want to cook it without the foil. It will need to sit once you take it out of the oven just to set up a little bit, but again, I'll show you that later. The cheese potatoes are done. You can see it's like potato and cheese lasagna, like I said. We get a little bit of browning on top, which we don't normally get, but the important part is to get a little bit of a crust on the bottom. That's the good stuff. Over here, I'm just cooking up the potatoes and a little bit of bacon fat so that we can enjoy those as well. If you found this video helpful, it'd be really nice if you'd like and share so other people can also find this video. Maybe you just found a new potato recipe. If so, let me know. And I will see you next time on the Aerogarden Homestead.